I say this sort of in jest, but do you know who the starting quarterback is? And if you want to share, feel free.
I will leave everything along those lines to Coach Steichen, and we will go from there.
And then on a more serious note, in all seriousness, when you look at evaluating both quarterbacks, Shane mentioned like how big the operational stuff is. How much do you evaluate that like in game versus out of game? Like in the moment, are you like noticing a lot of this operational stuff, or is it something you look at more on film and then go over with like Daniel or Anthony?
I think it's sort of every practice, every walkthrough, every game. There's an opportunity to sort of work through all that stuff at the quarterback position. Hearing the play, calling the play, operating at the line of scrimmage. They got motions, they got protection changes, they got all sorts of stuff that goes on that the quarterbacks have to manage. Sort of the whole game, the whole walkthrough, the whole practice. It's something we're always sort of keeping an eye on. It's a big part of that position, and we'll always sort of keep an eye on it.
Nate.
And Jim Bob, just as you look back through the entire preseason training camp, where do you feel like Anthony's shown the most growth to you from when he got here to start camp to where we are now?
Yeah, I think his comfort level, within our offensive scheme, obviously being his third year, working through uh, different pass concepts, different running concepts, different reads we have. I see him getting more and more comfortable as we go, which lets him play faster and lets him play more confidently. You know, it's something that all quarterbacks work to push to have mastery of their system so that they can, ultimately go play as fast as they can and as confidently as they can, and that continues to develop for Anthony, which has helped him out.
Joel.
When you look at the backup offensive line, what sticks out to you about those guys?
Yeah, there's been some guys that have played some really good football. There've been some guys that have had, quite a bit of opportunity to play. Sometimes a lot of reps in a practice or a lot of reps in a game. We're excited about how some of those guys have played, and whether it's outside or inside, uh, there's guys that we think have a chance to really help us this year in the NFL. You know, it's pretty rare that you're able to just start five offensive linemen game after game after game. Things happen. You have to get into that depth and get into those guys that may not start game one. And whether it's Jalen Travis or Tuck or any of those guys, there's a bunch of guys playing good football, and Coach Tony Sperano pushes them so hard, and he's on them pretty hard, which I think helps them get the most out of their practice, out of their game. There'll be more opportunities coming up, and we're excited to sort of see how those go and how they handle them. And we'll have a new defense we're scheming up against this week, and how do we manage those adjustments? And for the young players, how do they manage their third different opponent? Right, we're having preseason game one, game two, game three. There's a lot that goes into those things. If I'm a center making identification calls or protection calls, and Coach Tony's reminding them of different blitzes that the opponent has. It's things that whole group has to manage. That the more we see them work on that, the more we see them manage that, the more we learn about them. But it's been a good group. They're working like crazy, and we're excited about them.
JJ.
Jim Bob, I'm curious where like what the process is with Tyler of like evaluating what he's good at during maybe like the heavy install phase of training camp, and then like figuring out how to implement that for week one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, initially, as we go into camp, you want to give them a shot to kind of do everything, and that's most of our roster. Y'all have heard me say that enough times. You don't need to write it down again. I've said it a bunch, but those guys get to do the whole install, and what routes the tight end has on the install. He works every one of those things as we get more and more comfortable watching him play ball and learning about how he plays ball. We try to put him in different positions where he's doing maybe different things and experiencing different routes or different run blocks or different parts of the field that he's at, sort of playing ball. We as we see that as training camp develops, we start having those unique ideas, those sort of creative ideas about ways to use him, ways to give him opportunities to play ball in a different manner. That'll be a big part of the game weeks because that's every game week. We're game planning opponents and trying to use our guys in creative ways. He's done a great job picking up what's needed. He's still learning things and running routes for the, first or second or third time sometimes when we put a new play in. So there's learning and growth that's going on, but we're really excited about how he's managed all that, and I think he's going to have a great capability to help us when we get into that week after week game plan mode and are able to sort of put guys in different positions to maximize their success. We think he's going to really have a great shot to have a good week, 1 week at a time.
Do a few more here, Jake.
Hey, Jim Bob. When people on the outside kind of break this QB competition down, just to totally generalize it, Anthony's got all these physical gifts. He's kind of a risk taker, whereas with Daniel, he's more of a cerebral guy, probably a little more risk averse. Are there any like big misconceptions about these two that like really stick out to you that, you'd kind of like to push back on?
Well, I don't, outside of what you just told me, I don't know all the conceptions out there on these guys, but it's almost infinitely more complex than that. Each guy has their set of career experiences and sort of plays and concepts that they're comfortable with, plays and concepts that are new to them, plays or concepts that perhaps some point in their past they would have read a different way or used a different footwork to throw a certain pass play. So we're working through all that with these guys. They're working to be the absolute best quarterback they can be. Each guy does have some different strengths and different ways they go about doing that. That's our whole roster. That's our job as NFL coaches, is to figure out exactly what guys do well and really emphasize that. And then when there's things that we think we can improve or they can improve, to really push those guys to improve that. So I see two guys who have really put in a ton of work to be the absolute best quarterback they could be, day after day, consistently showing up, doing that. Whatever the conceptions are about each guy or misconceptions, however you want to put it, I don't know all that, but I know that the guys have really competed like crazy, and it's been a really good camp.
And we'll do our last one from Kevin.
Jim Bob, I know we probably asked you more about Anthony than Daniel, but with Daniel, what would you consider his strengths are as a quarterback?
Yeah, Daniel does a nice job. He is a veteran quarterback who's played a lot of football, and the more football you play, the more you see, the more sort of experience you have dealing with problem solving on the field, handling different situations. For instance, we have our playbook, we have our plays we run. Well, Daniel may have run several plays that looked quite a bit like that in the past. Some of those might be, we might execute them very, very similarly to the way he has in the past, but some of them are different, and you have to adjust at quarterback, and he's done a great job of managing those differences and still going out and playing good football and learning his teammates and learning, maybe how to throw a certain pass to Josh Downs that he might need to throw a little differently to Michael Pittman because of their size difference and things like that, or the way they run a certain route different. So he's done a nice job with that. Obviously, he's played a ton of football, so I would say the experience that he has been something that's been valuable for him to be able to manage all those situations, which he's done well.